moment, okay? I don't concern.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Sylvia Plath. Boom. Table of contents 4. There's nothing there. There was gonna be a 4. 4 didn't happen. Okay, so we have her life, works, and facts. It's not fun facts, so it's just facts. Her life. That's a picture of her, her husband, and one of her kids. Okay, she was born in 1932 to Otto, who was her dad, and he was German, and then her mom, I'm not gonna try to say it, who was like from Austrian descent. And there was a really big age gap between them. I don't remember how big, but it was like in the 20s. So
Creepy.
yeah. So she published her first poem in the Boston Herald's children's section. She was 8 years old, which is around the time her dad died. She graduated from high school in 1950 and had her first national publication in the Christian Science Monitor. She attended Smith College and was the editor of the Smith Review and co-editor of Mademoiselle. And she went to New York for that and had like not a great time, and that inspired the bell jar, which will come up later. And she was kind of getting super depressed, and one time she went to go meet Dylan Thomas, but like didn't end up getting to meet him, and it just kind of like threw her for a loop, and so she just cut up her thighs a lot because she was like, can I kill myself? Let's find out. Okay.
Interesting.
So then she did that, which is kind of something like electric shock therapy. And she made her first documented suicide attempt on August 24th she went under her porch and took a bunch of her mom's sleeping pills.
Under her porch.
That they thought she was missing, so they wrote about it in the newspaper. She wasn't missing. She was just under the porch. And she spent 6 months getting electric and insulin shock therapy, and then went back to college.
Malachi Nath, please report to the high school office. Malachi Nath.
Was that Officer Mike?
Yes.
Oh no. I'm next.
Is that his last name?
Welcome.
Well, that would make sense,
Oh,
yes.
that was probably you. That makes more sense.
Okay, and then she met Ted Hughes in 1956, and they dated for like 3 months and 22 days, and then they got married. She was a teacher for a little bit, and then became a receptionist, and she kind of like within that time also went to seminars, and this is who taught them, and she was there too, and they were both like writers, and they all became friends, and they were like, hey, you should write more about like your personal experiences in your life. Boom. Sylvia and Ted moved to London in 1959 because he's not American. He's Englandish. And they had their daughter. I don't know, guys. And then a few months later, in October, she published a Colossus, and then he beat the crap out of her. And so she had a miscarriage. He was not a good guy. But then she had a son, Nicholas. And he was born in 1962. Life is getting rough for her.
Clearly.
In that same year, she got into a car crash, which later on everyone was like, oh, that was probably another suicide attempt. And her and Ted separated because he was cheating on her. And then February 11th, 1963, her doctor had her have like a live-in nurse to take care of her kids and everything. And one day the nurse came in and found her dead in the kitchen with her head in an oven and all like the room like blocked off and everything. Boom. That's her grave.
Wow.
Okay, works. The bell jar, Ariel, Daddy, Lady Lazarus, and others. Okay, the bell jar. It's basically like her life.
Self-insert.
Yeah. So Esther Greenwood, Sylvia Plath. Oh, no. Is a college student from Massachusetts who goes to New York to be a guest editor of a magazine. But she has a horrible time, and her friends Betsy and Doreen are there with her, and they can't even make it better. She's just having a horrible time. And she's really obsessed with like losing her virginity because she's like, I need to be experienced in life, whatever. With this guy, but he doesn't like her, so then she's like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing with my life? I'm horrible, I'm ugly, like, yada yada. And so then on her last night in New York, she goes on a blind date with this guy named Marco, and he gives her like these diamond pins, and they're having a good time. And then he gets mad at her, so he takes the diamond pins from her and then tries to rape her. Not cool, don't do that. She goes back home and is still having an identity crisis. She's just having a horrible time. And her college boyfriend, Buddy Willard, is in a sanitarium recovering from tuberculosis. And he's like, hey, whenever I'm out of here and healthy, we're gonna get married. Yada yada. And he seems great. He seems supportive and loving and everything. But he doesn't really like understand her. Sorry. And he cheated on her with this lady named Gladys. Not cool. Sound familiar? Ted. Things are not going her way, and she's still thinking about New York so much that she can't do anything. She won't write, she won't sleep, she won't take baths. So her mom's like all concerned about her. She takes her to this doctor. She gets electroshock therapy, which really just makes her worse. And so then she starts trying to kill herself in similar ways to that Sylvia Plath tried to. And so then eventually she has to go to a psych ward, but this lady, this author, Philomena, pays for her to move to like a private hospital, and it's a lot better there. And then she's doing great. She's friends with Dr. Nolan and Joan, which is just one of the girls there, who's really similar to her in a lot of ways. And then eventually she's able to leave the hospital for periods of time, and one of these times she finally loses her virginity with this guy named Irwin. But she ends up hemorrhaging and then has to go to the hospital, so it's like, well, great, she got that, but what now? And that thing's so good. And then Joan spontaneously, because everyone thinks, hey, she's doing great. Then she hangs herself. Not cool. And Esther and Buddy mutually are like, this isn't really working out. We probably need to get this over with. And then she goes to her funeral and just repeats that. I looked up what's the reasoning for it. It's kind of up to interpretation. Boom. Ariel. She named it after her horse. It's a collection. It's like Ariel, the poems by Sylvia Plath, but Ariel's also a single poem. It has Daddy and Lady Lazarus in it, and Ted. Like, this was post her death, so Ted had already messed around with it some stuff, just whatever. So those are two. That's the opening line, and that's the end line of Ariel. Daddy. The snows, those are all just lines. It's about her father. Yeah. Okay, Lady Lazarus. This is about not a real person per se. I don't know. It's like a figure who dies and can come back again. What? What do you have to say? Okay. Oh no, those are lines. Hair, Schema.
The big strip
Oh, there it
tease.
is. Okay.
Schema.
What about the big strip tease?
You can look into that yourself too.
I will.
Okay, other thing, My Girl's Love Song. This is a type of poetry, and it was published in this one, which is the thing she went to New York to do. And it says this a lot, so that's the map. Tulips is really just about a girl in a hospital, and there's tulips there.
Checks out.
Yep. The Colossus is partially about her dad, and that's another line from it. And then the bed book, she wrote it for her kids. How sweet. And it's just about a bunch of different beds. I just thought that was fun. Okay, facts. Not fun. Posthumously won a Pulitzer Prize for the Colossus. She used a pseudonym for some of her stuff. The Bell Jar was originally published under Victoria Lucas. Nice. She lived and killed herself in the same house that Yeats lived in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And then this is Ted's girlfriend and her daughter she had with Ted. She tucked them into bed for night and then killed them using a metal
Oh
tube.
my gosh.
Wow.
So he's got a
Ted's
bad
a
track
problem.
record.
So Ted's not a great dude.
No, but he's bad.
How do you see
Yeah.
them and be like, hey,
Why is it not a sinner? Why is it so small? The end.
The end.
Yeah,
Is there anything